All right, today I'm going to try one of these style blades out on my brush cutter. What I got for a brush cutter here is a Stihl FS 560C brush cutter. And this blade here popped up on my Amazon feed. And I guess I had never seen one before. I've always used the Stihl chisel tooth style blade, which I can show later. And I really like that blade and I have no problems with it. But I seen this, and this blade I was able to get for 15 bucks. Granted, it's made in China, but I guess it is what it is. Basically, it's a 9-inch. It says 9-inch saw chain grass blade. And it did include a free file. Here's the back of the package. And it does have a 1-inch arbor, but it included a little washer bushing thing that you could stick in there, and I needed to use that to fit it onto this brush cutter. So I'm gonna check this thing out. It looks cool, if anything. You know, it looks like it'd be good in a zombie apocalypse. But I'm hoping to use it in a willow apocalypse, I guess. I'm overrun with willows here, and Mother Nature's been kind enough. It's in December already, and usually we got a couple feet of snow up here in upper Michigan, but this year the snow is holding back, so that means I'm gonna have to go do a little more work till the snow comes and shuts me down. Enough yakking. I'll go out and I'll fire this up and we'll see how it cuts. Well, this batch of willows here is kind enough to volunteer to be our test group. It's kind of a bigger patch, starts off nice and small, so it'll be a good test to see if I like this thing or if I want to switch back to the Stihl chisel tip blade. But here's the patch here. All right, let's fire up and get going. All right, it's time for me to give my opinion on this new blade here. I like it. I like it a lot. It cut great. It didn't have any malfunctions. The only issue I had with it was getting it mounted on my head, on my brush cutter here. And that could just me not knowing how to do it or whatnot. But because the hole on this blade is bigger than the hole on the Stihl blade. Okay, so they give you a little spacer to stick in to make the hole fit the shaft that comes out the end of this head. Well, you put that spacer in and then it fits the shaft tight, but the edge of the shaft for when you tighten down the nut, it's the thickness is thinner on this blade than this one. So you can't tighten it up tight to where it will hold that little spacer in place. That's why I have this little piece of tin here, and who knows if that's the right solution, but this is all I had to use as a spacer to make the spacer work. So basically the way I got it configured, I have that on there. Then if I roll it over here, I'll pick up the camera. little adjustment. And then I just got these two pieces on, holding it on. So that was my only issue with the blade, was getting it mounted. All right, so how did it cut? I would say at first, man, and it's still cutting good. You know, I guess I don't have any critical complaints. If I had to compare the two, I would say the Stihl chisel tooth holds its sharpness edge longer than this one does. So if I was going out in the field and I wanted to work all day, I think I would feel better taking the chisel tooth over this one. But is this a bad product? I haven't found any defects yet. You know, I was concerned these would work loose. That one's got a little play in them, but you know, being it's made in China, guy can't be too careful with that stuff, because I definitely didn't want one of these to come winging off and, you know, stick in a guy's leg or something. Using it, this thing does have less kickback than the chisel tooth. Okay, so sometimes, you know, you're swinging your brush cutter around and you're having a good old time and you're whacking trees off, and sometimes you hit it at the wrong angle and then it'll kick. With this one, sometimes it'll kick this head around, you know, off to the side pretty hard, you know, kind of like chainsaw kickback. And this one with the more chainsaw type teeth, and maybe having the little rakers here on the chainsaw teeth keep from doing it, but this, I didn't really have any experience of it trying to kick around on me or anything crazy like that. Otherwise, I mean, I think it's a good deal so far, but you know, like this one is a little over 2 years old and I'm still using it. Granted, it needs a sharpening again, but this one, you know, now this one needs a sharpening too. But and this one being 1/3 the cost of this, so I guess in my final opinion, if I could only have one, I would buy the Stihl chisel tooth. But with this one being 1/3 the cost of this, I'm glad I bought it, because I have saplings coming out of rock piles, and I'm way more comfortable using this one on those than I would this one, because it's not as much of a make you sit down and cry moment if you were to whack this one into a rock versus this one. All right, I'll show you that some of the stuff I cut down. Here's a little patch alongside my driveway. I mean, you go in, the hardest part is dragging the brush away after you cut it. I mean, both of these blades cut through it like butter. And I'll go show you them willows I started, just so you know I'm not BSing you that I use this blade for 2 days cutting stuff down. Well, here's the willows I was chopping down. Now you may think I left a mess, and you are correct on that. But my intention is, when spring comes and I have the tractor with the big brush cutter on, I can go along through here and I can just back over this, and the stuff I didn't pick up, that brush mower on the tractor should just shred. If you ask why I don't do that in the first place, because these willows are so humpy, and some of them actually has some pretty big stems on. It's just too much for the tractor to handle. But in the spring, these things will start growing back. I'm certain of that. And then I can chop them then, and then I'll spray a little brush killer on right after I chop them, and that should kill them. The pile, what we do with the willows, see that big nasty looking pile there? We're going to end up covering that with dirt, and then kind of like make a hugelkultur out of it. So we'll end up covering it with dirt from the ditch that I have to extend back here, which makes it real convenient. And then we'll maybe put a couple bags of topsoil on it, and I'll probably plant some raspberry bushes on it. All right, that wraps it up. The new blade is a success. I'm glad I bought it. Sometimes you buy stuff and you're just because it looks cool and you're like, oh man, what a waste of money. But that one, it cuts as advertised. It does everything it says it'll do. Is it as good as the Stihl? In my opinion, no. But does it have its place? Yeah, definitely. It definitely has its place. Well, all right. Thanks for watching.